All right. Good morning. GM, everyone. Welcome to another episode of FOMO Hour. Today is Friday, October 18th, 2020. Folks, it is going to be a beautiful week here in Chicago. The sun is shining. We're in the 60 to 70 degree range, just absolutely feeling great. And guess what? It's shaping up to be a beautiful weekend in crypto as well. Bitcoin is moving. Doge is breaking out. The Mercado memes are alive. And of course, the GOAT hitting all-time high right before the show. We're going to break it all down on today's show with you. No Farouk today. He is now in Lisbon. So he has moved from Paris to Lisbon, hanging out with the apes as Ape Fest kicks off today over in Portugal. We might have Mando able to pop in. We'll see if he is able to join us. But in the meantime, we still have Logan Hitchcock, our editor-in-chief over at Lucky Trader. Logan, GM, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, Tyler. A little chillier here, but the market's keeping me warm. So I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah, it's stay warm inside season, at least for those of us in the trenches. And I just want to give you a pat on the back for getting back in the trenches there, Logie. I feel like it had been a couple months. Perhaps you weren't as locked in as you once were, but you're back.
I feel like I'm seeing the board pretty clearly right now. So nice. Yeah, it feels good.
We love to hear it. Excited for your clear-eyed plays that you're going to share with us later on today's show. On today's show, what are we talking about, folks? We are going to start with Bitcoin smashing through 68K as these ETFs have seen over 2 billion in inflows this week. Worldcoin, now World, shared several updates, including the rebrand in a new app. We've got Moonpay partnering with Venmo and bringing their 60 million US users to crypto. The Eigen X account was hacked. How can you trust Eigen after this? Tau adding smart contracts to its L1. There's a new Ethereum phone, DGen 1. Is it a must buy? And we're going to talk memes, of course. We've got Doge breaking out, the Murad memes up, GOAT up as well. And then somewhat of a secret, quiet, not a secret, Magic Eden with the big runes announcement yesterday. So we will break that down. Plus, we've got Rollbit spins, 2 spins today. So make sure to stay tuned to the end of the show. And shout out, of course, to our show partner, Galaxis. With seamless built-in monetization tools, Galaxis enables the development of sustainable long-term communities, fulfilling Bitcoin's vision of decentralized freedom and independence from centralized control. Shout out to Galaxis. I think I saw they're also partnering with the Killer Whales show. So for you Killer Whales fans out there, make sure to tune in to find Galaxis there. All right, that's a rundown of what we're going to be talking about on the show. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to fire up the screen share here 1 second and do my best Mando impression as we go around the horn for a quick macro update. But for starters, I mean, we got to start with Bitcoin leading all majors. It's up 2.5% at 68,330 right now. Just a gorgeous weekly. So it's up 10% now on the week. The month looks solid. And then if you zoom out here, I think we may have just hit another higher high. So back at the end of July, we got to about 68.3, it looks like. So now we're reaching new highs here, new local highs here on Bitcoin. So this is quite lovely to see. Certainly some of this action is on the back of the Bitcoin ETFs. So a massive milestone yesterday, passing 20 billion in total net inflows for the Bitcoin ETFs since they've been live since January. So 9 months, roughly 9 months to 20 billion. Of course, BlackRock and IBIT, a huge driver of that with over 22 billion just themselves on just the last 5 days. Now well over 2 billion. So I think this is probably the biggest 5-day stretch we've had. I'd have to go back to the very first week. It's probably rivaling the very first inaugural week for inflows. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Even Ethereum is green, a rare sight. So we're looking at roughly 75 million in net inflows for ETH this week, though not necessarily all that reflected in price action. If we go back to the board, let's take a look. We touched on ETH up 2%, following Bitcoin 26.35. Solana at 154.50, kind of holding neck and neck with Bitcoin, but lagging a bit behind here on the week. If you look at the top movers on the day, it was mostly memes. It looks like a few alts are now jumping. Beam and Athena up about 9 to 11% here on the day, but it's wild to see Doge, the number one mover in
Jupiter,
with the 20%, with an 11% move at a $19 billion market cap. We'll come back to that in a second. So Logi's tossed down Jupiter. Yeah.
Look at Jupiter there inside the top 10. Yesterday was the 8 Pro announcement, leaning more into meme coins. I know you guys have spoken a lot about JLP on the show, not so much about the actual Jupiter token itself, but I mean, in terms of things you're messing around with on a daily basis, if you're an active participant right now, Jupiter's got to be up there as number one, or very, very close to the things that you're touching, your touch points with nearly everything you're doing on chain right now.
If you're bullish on Solana and the meme coin super cycle actually playing out, continuing to play out here for another year, you have to think Jupiter is one of the better picks and shovels plays on the board. I mean, the chart looks pretty solid. Like, it basically never really dipped below 70 cents. Solid foundation there. Only 20% off the bottom, 100% off local high. Of course, there's been some unlocks in this time, but the team is kept their tokens. Manda, he's with us. We've got him, folks. GM.
Hey guys, how are you?
Doing great. You haven't missed much. I just went around, did a quick intro on Bitcoin and some ETF inflows. We touched on some of the top movers here, but would love to toss it to you and just get your macro take. What stands out to you here this morning?
Bitcoin's going to all-time high. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like, gents. It's interesting to see. I guess it's not interesting, but we've already spoken about the fact that dominance just feels like it's going higher and higher each day. I think it will probably get above 60% just before the election. That's my bet. We're at 59 today. I think it's probably going to go to 60. And then meme coins, right? Meme coins have just, whenever they die, they come straight back. All of the top movers in the top 100 are meme coins. Generally, all the top movers in the top 300 and top 500 are meme coins. It's impressive to see. So everyone's getting onboarded to meme coins this cycle. Doge, like you just mentioned on the show, that going up is often that's seen as a bearish sign in the market. Like, often Doge is that people say it's like the last thing to pump, and then it's really been met with the whole market selling off. I don't really know what to make of that, because Doge just hasn't really rallied for a long time. I think this isn't a bearish sign. I think this shows you that people are coming back and saying, I need to buy meme coins. Why don't I own Doge again? So I feel like Doge for me is probably a sign is a sign of market participants coming back into the market here.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. And it's just been super quiet. Like, there hadn't been much chatter on Doge. I think a lot of even like the macro TA analysts out there hadn't mentioned it in months, and now I'm starting to see them talk about it a little bit more as well. So it's starting to get back on the timeline.
Doge, I mean, it's been strange that it's avoided all of this cycle. I do think that Doge is an outside bet for being one of the best multi-cycle things to own. Like, I just think it's always going to be here.
You think there's a scenario where it makes a new all-time high? Or do you think the all-time high is behind us?
I don't think it's going to hit an all-time high this cycle. But interestingly, and this is part of the reason why I think people are buying memes, is if I can make a good pitch for Doge being around longer than ETH, for example. Like, no matter what L1 dominates what we do on the timeline, I think Doge is always going to be there. And I think that's part of the reason why people like memes right now. I think Solana right now should be valued close to ETH. But I think people are scared to go back into the water. I think people, once it gets above $100 billion, $200 billion market cap, it kind of has a target on its back, and you start to have to think, well, is this going to be around for multi-cycle? We've just seen what happened with Sui, right? People want to move on with L1s. Like there is a benefit in moving on to the next one, because if you kind of catch the Ponzi's early enough in the ecosystem and what's been going on, and I think that people are a little bit wary of the L1 trade on a multi-cycle lens. You can always think like, oh, Sui's going to be calling next cycle, but for that to happen, kind of you have to assume that Solana's probably not going to have a great cycle. Whereas with meme coins, yes, you have the meme coins of each cycle, but I think they're multi-cycle sort of things. Like they're going to be around every single cycle, and I think that Doge is one of those. I think Pepe is one of those. I don't know which ones. I mean, what do you think of the multi-cycle memes of this cycle?
It's an interesting question. I mean, my head immediately turns to Murad's multi-cyclers, which are STX and Giga. I'm not sure I'm sold on that just yet. I mean, I think those are one with pops to mind to me. We'll see how big it gets this year.
Yeah,
it feels like the story of this cycle. Mog might have a shot. I think a lot depends if it really sticks with crypto culture, because trends in the crypto culture change too, right? I mean, right now it is certainly like a core tenet of crypto culture, but it's not quite as Lindy. Like Pepe is definitely more Lindy than Mog. Let's
yeah, of course. I think that Mog has got an okay shot at it. Whiff is difficult because I feel as though it probably is. Whiff is probably a multi-cycle coin, although I don't think it's one of those ones that pushes to new highs on the next cycle. You know what I mean? I feel like it'll just be there in and around. So you go down this list, it's not a lot of them, if I'm honest.
There's really not. Honestly, what I think a wild card here is, will we get one on Bitcoin? Will there be a runes leader that ends up making it? And if we see a real comeback in runes and ordinals this cycle, it kind of cements them as not just a flash in the pan 1 year thing. Like that becomes more likely. And if I have to pick there, I mean, it's probably dog or pups, right? Unless there's just one that comes out of nowhere. So I think
I think you've decided your the runes that are going to be the ones for this cycle already. I just don't know if I think any of those are super strong. That's the issue.
Right. Yeah,
just the narrative around them. Like pups feels more related to the ordinal itself, and dog just feels very generic. Like it's just going to be there.
I totally agree with you. I'm shocked that it's been just the consistent number one, to be honest. I had similar critiques. I think there will become just this narrative of being the number one meme coin on Bitcoin could be a self-fulfilling prophecy, and that could be enough. But in general, I'm with you. The meme itself isn't necessarily all that great. I mean, it's just a dog wearing a Bitcoin sweater. It feels like a copy of other memes.
Yeah.
I mean, a true unique one. Well, a couple interesting takes. So I saw a take. I don't have the tweet handy. That funds who want to get into meme coins but don't know how to underwrite them will instead look at Tau. And is Tau going to be perhaps a meme of this cycle? Of course, it's more than a meme. It's its own L1. On that note, we actually saw a pretty interesting update. Let me try to find it here. Yeah, so Tau launched smart contracts here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
EVM compatibility now live. You can deploy smart contracts using Solidity, MetaMask as well. So that basically unlocking DeFi and more. This wasn't really on my radar necessarily as something that they had even been working on.
Is Tau running alongside this AI stuff or no?
It's kind of been it hit it's not at its all-time high, but it hit a a high about 6 days ago and it's dropped since then. Actually, it's dropped since then.
It looks pretty good. I feel like it is trading like a lot of the meme leaders, right? Like it peaked in March, just like the meme cycle did, big drawdown, and immediately back up. And it looks like it's hitting higher highs and higher lows.
So I think
I'd rather own
for you. Yeah, this is the thing. For you to want to own any altcoin this cycle, it's kind of wild, right? Like you have to have like the fact that it's even rallied probably shows you that it's doing okay. You know what I mean? Like it's got to have some sort of outsized value proposition to even rally in this market. I think. I like it. I think it's gonna go at least a 2x this cycle, probably a 3x.
That's the thing. So it's kind of hard to, with it already at 4 billion, you start to think like, how high is this really going to go? And it's up so much already. Is it worth chasing for just a 2 or 3x versus some other plays? I think I keep being surprised that it's like Worldcoin had a huge update yesterday. And perhaps we'll go into it. New orb, new credentials, new mini apps. They rebranded, and also this mainnet launch. I felt like there was one other thing, but I feel like it's really not talked about much. Like Worldcoin itself, like it pumps sometimes with Altman headlines. I'm curious if you have a read on that, man, though, and perhaps why. Like, I feel like Tao is talked about much more than Worldcoin is. I can't find it.
People don't really like Worldcoin, right? It just feels very corporate. The tokenomics are unbelievable. Like it's a market. Look at that.
22 billion FTB versus 1.2. Yeah, it's like, how do you buy this?
Yeah, it's kind of. I think it's really just a Sam Altman play, and that run up was also like a short squeeze play. I don't think this is an investable currency, even if they do cool stuff with it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that.
Like,
one.
is that going to 40 billion? Doesn't feel like it.
I'm like, let's look at the market cap chart. Oh god, yes. And the market cap chart obviously paints a much different picture because of the that are happening. So you have to be wary of that. So that's going to be a tricky one for sure. I think the other macro headline from the day was that of our friends Moonpay. So they have now officially partnered with Venmo, and 60 million United States Venmo users will now be able to buy crypto via the Moonpay app using their Venmo balance. So this feels like a big one to me. Logan, maybe I'll toss it to you. Any reactions on your side? Are you a Venmo user? Is this something you would actually use?
Definitely. This is super cool. You wrote about it in the Morning Minute newsletter this morning, Tyler, and to steal from you a little bit, just the funding sources for buying crypto. If you're not using a centralized exchange like Coinbase, Binance, whatever, it's tricky. And this just makes it a little bit easier. I mean, nearly everyone that I know, my age demographic, is utilizing Venmo, right, to make micro transactions or medium-sized transactions with friends. And you probably are carrying a balance. Hopefully those people are the same types of people that would be buying crypto. So, I mean, this is, just another small little victory and unlock for the ease of adding, to your crypto portfolio. Whereas, before, perhaps you were adverse to using a centralized exchange or whatever the case may be. So all for it.
I think it's a big deal. I'm personally a pretty active Venmo user. I usually carry a balance in there, largely because I just don't know what to do with it. And I just kind of hold on to it in case to like go out with friends, they pay, you just pay them and it feels like a free meal or whatnot. But now, like if I'm holding a Venmo balance and I see like, oh, there's a new token I want to chase here. And like, let's just fire up Moonpay. Let's get this into Solana here real quick. That's attractive. So I think this is going to be a big onboarding arm. Or it's definitely making it easier and attractive on it. It was like, I don't really use PayPal. I don't really hold a balance there. Like I'm not going to connect my bank account or a credit card for just like a on the whim announcement that feels like too clunky. The credit cards get denied a lot and you have to deal with that hassle. I think with Venmo, if this is actually a smooth experience, I haven't had a chance to test it out personally just yet. I think this could be a real a real game changer. So we'll certainly see. Shout out to them. Mando, was there anything else on your macro radar from the day, or do you think we hit most of the big rocks?
No, in terms of broader macro, there was some renewed bullishness from China, like they're going to do even more stimulus after their growth slowed. So you had gold, you had stocks hit all-time highs again yesterday. They just continue to go higher and higher. Interestingly, we've seen the yen has weakened quite a lot. Remember, a lot of people were talking about the unwind of the yen carry trade. Well, that was on the cards, and then it seems as though the Bank of Japan got cold feet and is delaying their rate increases. So actually, you've seen the yen weaken back to kind of above 150, which is where they stepped in to defend it before. So interesting one, that one, in that whole unwind is not really happening. I think the main thing that people are pointing to for a lot of this rally in crypto has been the Trump odds, and that just continues to go higher. It does feel as though there's one whale on Polymarket who's pushing it higher. That being said, like, we have seen the biggest inflow week on the ETF since July. I think BlackRock's got over $1 billion of inflows already this week, and we've got a day to go. So massive inflows coming into the ETFs. And I think most people are saying that's to do with the Trump stuff, which is what we've been saying.
Yeah, it feels like this could very well be a Trump pump here. I want to see how Silver's got the odds. I haven't checked his model. Internet's being a little slow. What do we got here? All right, so he's flipped to Trump. So he still has a coin flip, but he has Trump with slight edge. And he had Harris was still 55-45 in his model when Polymarket had pulled ahead already. So it does look like Trump really has the momentum. Is it really 60-40? I feel like this is definitely a bit tied to that whale pumping $25 million in. But it also does kind of seem to match sentiment. But 2.5 weeks to go. It's a tight race. A lot could happen, but it does feel like it's a Trump pump. I would tend to agree with you on that one. This is gonna be interesting. Or go ahead.
No, I think it's very high, these odds already, right? I think people are pointing to the idea this is the highest odds that we've seen in recent elections for one candidate going into it. It's starting to feel a little bit pushed around, I have to say.
Yeah. It's much less interesting to bet this with these odds unless you are on the combo side. Then it's very interesting. The states are going to be, I think, a more interesting market as we get closer. Perhaps we'll dive into that a little bit closer to the election. I think a fun, perhaps surprise story here. Maybe switching gears, going around to another macro headline. Ethereum wants to get in on the phone business. So we saw the Sol phones go nuts in early 2024, if folks remember. And now we have our first glimpse at an Ethereum phone. It's called DGen 1. It's from Twitter. ETHOS at Ethereum phone is their handle. It's minting live, so you can mint your pre-sale access. I think you get an NFT with this as well. Live on Base right now. It's priced at 0.2 ETH. You can also buy it using DGen token. Looks like the phone will be shipped in 2025. It's got a terminal. It's got a matrix feature, grips on the side. I mean, you can see the phone here. It's kind of strange looking, if I'm being honest. It looks like one of the old iPods, like the early generation iPods, perhaps, is what this calls the memory bells for me. And it's got a laser randomly, which is like another Ethereum nerd thing. Clearly they decided to build it. So this feels like a very nerdy phone. It runs the ETH mobile operating system. Let's go to the website here. Yeah, you can get in on the pre-orders. Oh, so this is the big one. This is why folks are buying this, and it's probably going to sell out. They're already teasing the airdrops, folks. And I think they've already got airdrops lined up and being publicly touted. So if you recall, those early buyers of the Solana phone made something like a 5x multiple. Logan, do you remember? Like what roughly order of magnitude from the phone cost? It was like $500 phone. You got like $3K in airdrops. Is it
something like that. Something like that. And then some benefits down the road as well that probably increased it a little bit more than that even.
So this is for those who like that type of thing. buying something you don't really want to collect potential airdrops, I think this is probably a good trade. Now, will it be a good phone? I don't know the answer to that.
I think the wild card here is the amount of devices. I think that with the Saga, that first run, there just like weren't that many. I don't know the exact number. I thought I saw somewhere, and I can't verify this, but like there's like 50,000 of these potentially.
Okay, so that might hurt the airdrops a little bit.
Yeah, I saw Zeneca is buying for the airdrops. He tweeted that. Looks like last night, buying 5 for the airdrop potential. It's interesting. What is it? 0.2 ETH or something?
Which ETH feels so cheap now. So I find that really doesn't feel like that much. Granted, so I think it'll do well. I think there's a good chance they sell out 50,000 phones. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Now, will it be a profitable play? I still bet yes, but we will see. Well, let's keep pushing forward here this morning on topics. We got to talk memes and get into more detail. The top story, it's GOAT. Every day it's GOAT. This thing just does not stop. It's at $428 million market cap right now. It's up 55% on the day. Every day new FUD surfaces, and every day it just fights off the FUD completely. So yesterday the FUD was that Arthur Hayes and Machi both bought and touted GOAT within like a 2-hour window. That actually caused this dip from 320 all the way to 220. And now anyone who bought that dip is absolutely rejoicing. They're up nearly 100% on that trade. And now, I mean, this was buyable, folks, at a $2 million market cap on October 10th. So in 8 days, an achievable 200x trade here on GOAT in basically whatever size you could have wanted. Logie, how are you feeling as a GOAT holder this morning? Or are you still holding it, or have you chipped it
out? I'm still holding. I actually bought a very, very small with some scraps yesterday in a separate wallet. I actually added some more, a trivial amount. But I'm feeling so comfortable, Tyler, more comfortable than I believe I've ever felt with a meme coin, to be honest. I know I mentioned on the show yesterday, like narratively, and you can have your take on this narrative and how much you want to give lend it to that or just random meme coin mania, whatever. But narratively, I've bought in, and my entry point was I'm just so comfortable with the entry point that I had. Of course, right? I took some profits early, and I'm just content and feeling good about it going up every day.
I reluctantly bought in yesterday.
Glad to have you.
I was tired of seeing all these GOAT victory lappers on my timeline every day and not being a part of it. And also, like I'd found myself chasing GOAT derivatives and beta plays, and I just had like a sobering moment. Like, why am I doing this? Let's just throw some of this cash at the actual winner here, and let's see how far this can run. I mean, it's got to pull back at some point, right? Like every meme leader has those 50 to 60% pullbacks. I don't know when it's coming. Mando, have you been following this? Like, do you have any reactions as it goes higher? Do you think it makes it more secure, worse off the higher it goes? Do you have a read on the GOAT token here?
I think it's the sort of story that if you're hearing about peripherally, you want to buy it. Do you know what I mean? If someone said, "Oh, there's an AI meme coin and there's an AI person that's like who's behind it," I think the more I hear about the story, the less I'm like bullish about it, because it's like he didn't actually create the coin; he just like endorsed it. Yeah, but it's the sort of thing that if you get told about it, you're like, "Oh, this is amazing! Like, I need to buy it." So I that being said, like, I don't know, like that's a story that the higher it goes, the more people hear about it, the more everyone's like, "Oh, I've got to own an AI trade here." Like maybe people, I could easily go to $1 billion in my opinion, like easily. But I do think that I just don't even know if I like find it the most incredible story of all time, like genuinely. Like an AI on X supported a meme coin. I guess that's cool. I don't know if that's $1 billion worth of cool. I much prefer the Turbo like story, in my opinion. Like, and I own neither. Sure. But the idea of it, like AI was able to like basically do the like create the language, and that was before Pump.fun, right? So it was a bit more of a tricky thing to do. I think I preferred that story, but
I would like the story a lot more if I got in at 2 million. So again, like I've been following this thing from the very early days. Missed it for some of the reasons you pointed out, because I didn't think the story was quite as interesting. But I think that the reality is the story is kind of getting fudged a little bit. It's going super wide. A Bloomberg author wrote an article about it yesterday, and I think you kind of nailed it. It's like when you hear the headline of this, like an AI agent made a coin or bought a coin, and now it's approaching like $1 million profit. That's the story, and people don't care about what the actual details are. So I don't think that matters at this point. It's past that. Logan, do you know the number where the terminal hits $1 million?
580 million. I'm not certain that's it, but I've seen that surfaced. I'd have to go back and look, but that's a take profit number for me. Mando, you mentioned, 1 billion. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think easily, of course, right. It could go there, but the narrative that's most compelling to me right now is the AI agent becoming a millionaire. Yeah. And that's, not so far from here. That's a really
40% move, 30% move from here.
Psychological, narrative for me. So that's another take profit spot for me, but I'm feeling comfortable as is right now.
I mean, that's when you get another wave of headlines, right? Like AI agent makes $1 million on a meme coin. Like that's going to go everywhere. And I don't know, the bigger this thing gets, like, is this the AI meme coin that makes it? So like the turbo story, an artist creates a meme coin using ChatGPT. I know this being tied to the actual like sentient folks. I've got sentient in quotes here. AI agent. I think that makes this story, and that's the angle where this is actually more compelling. So
yeah,
we'll see.
It would have been better if he made the coin. That's what I feel like it would have been the best.
Yeah.
Now, because am I right in saying that the reason why that random coin like Forest, I think it was, rallied was because he's made or he supported other coins in the past?
I think Forest has something to do with something that Andy A. Ray is like working on. There was another one, Tree, that pumped up because the Truth Terminal had mentioned Tree tokens in the past. So there are some weird conflicting messages from Truth Terminal. Forest, I think, is slightly different, but interconnected in some way.
Yeah, it's at 15 million. So that's another part of the story is this: the derivatives and betas have gone absolutely nuts. So Truth Terminal's girlfriend, Sydney, one of the biggest movers of the day. It's 400%. It's 17 million. You mentioned
honestly, this sounds like Black Mirror. Like we are literally buying meme coins of the girlfriend of an AI agent that didn't create the coin, but just said it was a good coin. It's just kind of like, what the hell? Like,
in some ways, that makes it more compelling to me. But it also is like this probably, if it's a Black Mirror episode, it's probably going to end poorly.
It's going to end really poorly. Wait till the people see what Truth Terminal actually posts, because that's not getting too much mention, at least in what I'm seeing. Right? It's the interest that an AI thing did this, but it's not just any normal thing. I mean, they're posting the most ridiculous things you could ever imagine.
It's a great follow. Like,
yes,
honestly, I love following it.
It's funny. Some of the tweets from yesterday made me chuckle, but
not safe for work.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about saying what that was, but I paused there. So we'll let you go find those tweets. Talking about eating humans in kind of a funny way. I'll let you take it from there. But like, this is clearly the meta. A lot of the top coins are tied to this. Forest, Tree. There's a new, what's the other robot? I'm blanking on it. But if we go around the rest of the non-goat memes, let's take a look at the Solana board here, see where we're at. With up top, Boom up 10%. What else we got? Giga finally moving. So Giga was the one Murad meme which didn't really move last week. It looks like it's starting to jump. Michi's back over 200 million. Mudang, one of the bigger movies. We thought perhaps that trade was over. I don't know if this is a dead cat bounce or perhaps a comeback, but it's back up over 100 million, up 40% on the day. Billy is up, and that's kind of Epic had a nice little comeback as well. We got up 20% on the day, so you like to see that. Headed over to the Murad board. Murad memes are back, starting to heat up into the weekend. Perhaps a little Murad weekend rally. Almost all the coins are green except for SBX, notably. So perhaps it has a longer cool off period after its meteoric rise, but up about 10 to 20% across the board. Mog leading the way up top at 840, but pretty green all the way down. So very, very solid day. I think similar on the ETH board here as well. Apu and Bitcoin, two Murad memes, two of the top movers over on ETH. I was going through the Myriad board this morning, looking at any interesting predictions on the Myriad site. And one that jumped out to me was what will be the top pump fund coin, or first pump fund coin to $1 billion. And let's see. Well, it's actually got FOG at 100%. Earlier, I thought this looked a little bit different. Perhaps it's bugging out a little bit, but it seems pretty clear. Like if you're going to bet right now, what would be the first coin to $1 billion? It's got GOAT. Yeah,
GOAT easily
at this point. So sorry for FOG and Michi betters. You're hurting a little bit these days, but we'll certainly see. In Bitcoin memes, I think a big headline out of Magic Eden, mempool protection and getting sniped was one of the biggest user experience issues, UX issues in all of the Bitcoin trading space for most of the last year. And now it looks like that's finally going away. So they announced full snipe protection using their RBF here going live. I have somewhat tested this out. So the night that Puka Cannot Be Stopped launched, I think that was Wednesday night, there were 600 transactions. Yeah. I fired a transaction in during a peak period, and it was safe. And the token was running during that time. I thought for sure I was going to get sniped, and it didn't. So it looks like this is starting to work, which is going to be solid for runes. Pups, nice rebounder on the day. Closing back in on 150 million. Like to see that. It had pulled back. Most of the rest of the board slightly red, but the dog at 560 million. It is holding up top there. So it's doing pretty well. Logie, anything jumping out to you on the runes board, or perhaps on the ordinals, or any of the NFT boards here from the past day?
Well, just the interesting, the Gizmo ordinal went yesterday. That was a free mint. It didn't run up too high. I think it was around $135, like 0.002. But that was something that we talked about on the show. Oh, it's up a little bit more now. But top volume by quite some margin. Yeah, I still feel like this is a spot where, and I'm seeing it more and more on the timeline, but there's going to be some winners. I don't know which ones really, really break out and explode. Like, I think the Billy, what is it? Billy the cat, whatever. What is that? Bongo tweets about it all the time.
$1 billion cat?
Yeah, Billy the cat. That's the one that I'm starting to see like more and more of. That's kind of intriguing to me. It flipped RSIC at one point. Maybe they flip back. They go back and forth a little bit. But this is something to me. I saw there's like a generator for apes to like put it on their ape profile. Mm-hmm. I'm starting to just, it's giving me one of those, once you start to see it more and more type things, we've talked about that all the time. Sometimes that's a reason enough to pay attention. I'm starting to get that vibe from $1 billion cat right now.
It's a good take. I think one of my hot Bitcoin takes is that $1 billion cat could be the number one rune. I think there's a scenario where it is. You mentioned being more on the timeline. So one of my takeaways from Bitcoin Nashville, like there was no real meme or ordinal presence. The $1 billion cat masks were everywhere. Those little orange masks, you can see it in the icon on the site. Quickly, guys, shout out the code for today's rollbet spins, folks. The code is Bitcoin. So we will be ready for those spins here in just a few minutes. Speaking of Bitcoin, I don't know. I think BTC, the $1 billion cat, has a real shot here. I mean, the chart looks gorgeous. Oh, it also launched its SPL a day or two ago. So we'll see if that ends up being a net positive or negative. Certainly that the launch of the Solana version of Pups was likely a huge driver of the meteoric rise it went on. We'll see if BTC is able to pull it off as well. Not a whole lot else going on in the NFT space. I think most of the leaders chopped on the day. We did see Sotheby's lean into the AI meta following the GOAT and everything else just taking over the timeline here. They're doing a Botto exhibition. So Logan, do you have anything you can share about this one?
Yeah, 6 different lots. I think there's only been like 1 or 2 bids. It just opened up yesterday, but from different phases or periods of Botto. Botto, of course, the decentralized AI artist, has a coin as well. I see it's down, but up on the 7-day, up on the week, or up on the 2 weeks and the monthly as well. So just another interesting, as far as the AI meta goes. I mean, this is one that's been around for a while. The first work there, the very first lot, Tyler, is from 2022. So this is an early, for you AI archaeologists or blockchain archaeologists, this is an early AI instance of blockchain NFT crypto crossover. That's very, very cool. So check it out if you haven't already. But starting bids quite high as well.
I like Botto. I think the differentiator for Botto is we have several like AI art collections at this point. There really aren't many in the one-on-one space. And I think Botto is starting to become a little bit more lendy. I think probably a little bit too early to call it that, but it seems to be the one most supported by the current set of collectors.
And so much in art, of course, very subjective, but so much of the Botto work, in my opinion, is actually very good. Like you can kind of feel the one of one, I don't know, museum quality type thing from what Botto provides. You're not going to get maybe the scare or shock factor that other AIs successfully, like Grupe Renisto's stuff, have done. And they lend themselves to maybe perhaps a different audience, but super cool to see. I think this is the lone one with the bid. Yeah, the current $8,000 bid.
These passed the wall test for me. It's a fun story. Put it on your wall and talk about it. It's from an AI artist. So, folks, so maybe perhaps some auctions to watch here. A few of these are much higher than the other ones. So this exorbitant stage already has a 70,000.
Yeah, if you scroll down, it's probably just from a different period, like from an earlier period. Yeah, so this is 2022. I mean, this is the genesis period of Botto.
Got it.
So, yeah, I think that lends itself to some provenance, whatever people want to ascribe to it.
Do you know the frequency? Is Botto producing one per month?
I don't know, actually. I'd have to look that up, but it's such a cool way, like Botto holders literally get to help influence what Botto creates. I mean, it's a really cool project. It's really, really cool. And it's super slept on in terms of even just the awareness of Botto, right? There's a token, there's this interaction, the art, of course, which is the manifestations of everything that takes place. Just there's a lot of this really cool stuff that just happens that doesn't get the love it deserves in this space.
Yeah, folks aren't aware. So the Botto DAO, the token holders get to actually vote. The AI artist creates 3 or 5 different pieces per time period, and the holders get to vote on which ones actually go to auction. So that's a bit on how it works. So an interesting one. We'll be monitoring those auctions here on FOMO Hour. But with that, I think that takes us through all the items on my list. Sims and Burn, if we want to start thinking about these rollbit spends, again, one last reminder that the code for today is Bitcoin. If you want to get in on these rollbit spends, we've got 2 happening today. I'll let you take it away. All right, here comes our first draw. And Sugar Poonie with the captains, the baby captains PFP. Sugar Poonie, P-U-N-Y. You are the first winner. Sims, we don't have the audio, sadly. Love to be hearing the jazz tune on a bullish Friday. But
it's fine. I'm using a different thing for security this time, so there's no audio.
Oh, man. Well, I miss it. Well, Sugar Poonie, come on up, and we'll get you your spin going. We've got one more winner to pick here. Let's do one more draw. And it's Chopkins. Chopkins.
Did he win not so long back?
I'm not recalling this name. Perhaps it was before my time.
I think this might be a double winner, maybe. We'll
I
see
don't
when he comes
remember.
up.
Let's
Unless I'm following him. But the name definitely rings a bell.
All right, looks like we got Sugar Pony up. So Chopkins, you are also a winner. Looks like okay. So Chop requested. Are we pulling him up here, Sims? All right. They are both up on stage. I think whenever we are ready. Sugar Pony, let's start with you. Jim, how you doing?
Let's go.
He's excited. We can tell. Chop, if you're with us. Jim, how you feeling?
Good morning, guys. Thank you for this opportunity. Yeah, I won about 3-4 weeks ago. I won a Rex guy.
All right, repeat winner. We'll have to
Feeling very lucky.
We'll have to look at the raffle bot after this one for repeats. But happy that you won again here. Burn, if we're ready to get Sugar Pony up here. Are we spinning?
Yep.
Ooh,
And it's a wreck guy. All right, nice looking wreck guy. What's
$2 grand for a red guy.
2K.
Wow.
This thing's really ramped up on us. Nice little Friday win. Sugar Pony, congrats. The team will connect with you after the show.
The next one for Chop.
All right, Chop. What do we got?
Another red guy.
And it's
Wait, what?
Nice.
What?
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 Oh, wow.
Is that correct?
Wait, what?
Oh my gosh, guys. It
No
looks like
way.
it might have been a punk.
Wait, is this?
Oh my goodness.
Was that Burns lag?
Is that right?
Bernie,
I think it's
a punk.
wow, we won it.
Fucking punk.
Oh my god. The
Oh,
punk
shit.
hit.
Is this
I did not see that coming.
Chopkins, the punk hit.
$75,000?
Oh, I can't. I'm speechless right now. Is this real life?
Nuts. Without Farouk.
Yeah, we'll double check it and we'll go in the back and make sure everything is. But as far as I'm concerned, that's a punk win.
Oh my God.
It popped up. What the?
Oh my God.
75K. That's a nice punk, too.
Holy
Wow.
Thank you guys so much.
shit! What?
Goodness.
Unbelievable. Well,
I'm
folks,
shocked with that.
Oh my God, that's incredible. If that's we'll double check it all just because Burns got a bit of lag on his side, but it says processing.
if you needed another reason to tune in to FOMO Hour, but besides our updates in alpha every day, folks.
Can you quickly check to see if it's been bought by RollBitBot?
That's crazy.
Because it should have been, if it has hit, it should have been picked in the back by the RollBitBot, right, and purchased.
Hey, Burns saying it's a punk. Looks like it's a punk.
It's a
Man.
punk win. Okay.
Stop.
Congratulations. Happy Friday. Holy fuck.
The team will work with you here behind the scenes. But
Thank you
congrats
guys
on
so
the
much.
massive win.
Thank you so much. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Folks, it's going to be hard to beat that. But we're going to end on a high note. Wow, $75,000 win on FOMO Hour. I want to shout out to Chop. What a day. Shout out to all of our listeners. Thank you for tuning in to today's show. That will be it. We'll be back on Monday to break down all of the weekend action. As for today, go have a great Friday. Go make it a beautiful day. Goodbye. Oh, we almost had Farouk dialing in.
Farouk's come to talk. Farouk, we're still live, so just be aware.
Talk to you guys.
You just want a punk.
We're live.
We're still live, so don't swear or anything. You just want a punk.
Yo, someone want a fucking punk?
The punk hit. A
What
beauty.
kind of punk?
I don't know if we've got it pulled up. It's a smoking female.
That's crazy. That was it on.
$75,000 win live on FOMO.
75K win, bro.
Nuts.
All right. I thought the show was done. I was coming talking to the studio with the boys. What up, y'all? All right. See you guys.
We'll end it now. Bye, everybody.